Mr. Hitchcock, how you doing, buddy?
What? Am I glitching out over here, Adam?
Are you what?
Am I glitching out over here?
No,
Is there a delay?
no, you look good. You look great. Would you lose some weight, Jake?
Well, actually, I got to tell you, Adam, I dropped about 10 pounds in these COVID times. I'm leaner. I'm pretty near down to fighting weight and been moving a lot of rocks in the back 40. So,
Ooh.
I feel strengthened. Not to brag or,
No,
but yeah, thanks.
I'm just saying you look good, and that means you must
I
feel.
did just shave. I did just get out of the rain locker and shave. I thought for our guests tonight and for folks at home, it has been a while. If you look at the last mountain stream, I was not as clean cut in these COVID times.
Yeah. Guests. Speaking about guests, we have a pretty good guest coming on tonight on our show, which is it's an honor to have him on the show. You know who I'm talking about? Do you remember, Jake?
Do I? Are you kidding me? That's all. You know how we roll, Adam. That's all I've been sweating all day. Are you kidding me? That's why I got my Sunday go to meeting clothes on.
I know you're looking damn good, button up and everything. Jeez.
This is my best Salvation Army shirt I got down at Chris Fredoloso's wedding down in Fishkill, New York.
Fritzy.
Yeah, Fritzy. Yeah, what a great time we had.
Jake, how was your day today? Overall, I mean, we have some nice weather in the Northeast. We've had this is like the third day of good weather, probably in a row.
Yeah, sure is. Yep. I've been attacked by the black flies.
Yeah, I've been attacked too. Not that eye. This eye, you can see, might be a little red. This one, if it's red over in here, my whole face got totally annihilated today at work. I'm up in the sticks, and it's unbelievable how many black flies are up there compared to like down here and down next to the river down in town, up in the mountainous area up there where I'm working. Whew, they're hot and heavy, Jake. Hot and heavy.
They're hot. They're heavy. They're feasting. I mean, it's that time.
Feast or phantom, they say.
Someone said.
You know what? It is that time, Jake. I think we should just go right ahead and get our guest on. We have a very special guest coming to us. He's from up north and west. A lot of guys know him from the channel Bigfoot Okanagan. His name's Leon Thompson. Got a lot to say. Really interesting character. Been dying to actually talk with him, chat with him for a long time. Been a long time. I think it was back in July he was on Bigfoot Odyssey. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but he was on there with Bigfoot Tony, Jason Parsons, and
episode 69.
And that show, I know that show kind of went a little longer than it was scheduled, and that was some of the best conversation. Was the part that happened after the hour. Really, really good stuff. Let's have him on. Everybody out here, thank you for joining us on Mountain Stream. It's a pleasure to have you guys all out here checking us out. For without any further delay, let's have Mr. Leon Thompson come on the show.
Hey, gentlemen.
Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
I feel old that you're calling me by my last name. That makes me feel like I'm a teacher back in the 60s. Thanks.
Can I call you Leo?
Yeah, you can call me Leon, Leroy, Eli. I get called all those. Hawkeye's my bush name.
What about L-Dog?
Hey, whatever it works for you. If it sticks, that's how we'll know it's younger.
That might be a younger kind of term now. Maybe younger. So L-Dog, tell me. Bigfoot, Bigfoot Okanagan. What spawned that idea, first of all?
Well, what spawned it had nothing to do with Bigfoot. Actually, what spawned it was I was trying to figure out, because I'm old, I'm doing another channel, and I'm old and I don't know technology very well, and I needed something to motivate me to learn how to do videos online.
Cool.
And I kind of said, Lord, it'd be kind of good if you gave me something to give me the energy to do something like this. And he said, why don't you go look for Sasquatch? And then That was just hilarious, actually. And then I thought, yeah, I might as well go do that because it's something interesting. It's a mystery. It gets me out of my head, gets me out in the bush, and I deal in the people's brains all year long. So I need something that was totally different. Helps that I saw a Sasquatch when I was a kid. But I totally moved on. That was probably a good 40 years ago. So I'm trying to not sound like I'm as old as I am there. But yeah, so that's how I got into it. And I thought, well, I'm going to do it two ways. I got curious about Sasquatch again. And then I started seeing certain people online that I kind of appreciated their view, and which drew me in. Like most people online, when you come online, and you're just kind of curious, about Sasquatch stuff. So you get hooked into Sasquatch Chronicles and that.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a shift that can happen to you as you kind of move through it, because if you get more interested in it, then you want to maybe start looking for them. And as soon as you start looking for them, then you start researching for them. And so you kind of move out of just coming online, and you want to be a little more kind of involved in the process. So out of that, I thought, well, the Okanagan here has had quite a few sightings. I didn't know that at first, but I think there was something on the local newspaper about a footprint that somebody had found, because we had a lot of fires here. And I noticed the picture they used in the article, and it was actually from Washington State, but somebody was trying to pass it off as, like a bush fireman comes across large Sasquatch footprint, I think is what the caption is, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turned out that that was from Washington. And then I contacted the local newspaper and notified them that it was from Washington. How I figured that out, I think it's because it's been up here in Canada for a while. In Saskatchewan, they tried the same thing. And but yeah, that's kind of how I got into it, as an interest. And it just gave me some kind of passion to get me online to learn about videos and stuff for my clients and people I teach. Because I was old and decrepit, and I have not the genius brains that you two gentlemen have.
Leon, I got to tell you, I think me and Jake are only a hop skipping away from you. I think we're barely 10 years older than you. You're like we could have gone to school with you. I have lots of friends in the area that are a lot older than you. I think we can consider ourselves peers.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, I'm just hoping we're all adults in the room. That's all I'm hoping for. That'd be good, Adam. If we're all good, if we're just all adults, that would be fair. Yeah.
We're just all adults for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So here in the Northeast, just talking to Jake a little while ago, it was one of those springs that just never came. We thought it was going to get warm, and then it just didn't. And then the next thing you know, we think it's all over with. And then May is coming. We still haven't had any spring and snow. And then we get 2 inches of snow.
Yeah.
And then we get 3 inches of snow. And then like a couple of days later, we get a back-to-back little mini snowstorm. They all melted in like a day or so, but it was just nuts. And then all of a sudden now, just over the last week, things just went from 0 to hero. And we finally have the May spring that we wanted a long time ago. Things are looking good around here. We keep looking out the window because I can see all the trees with the leaves on them, the poplars especially. They're related to the aspen here in the Northeast. I'm just wondering, what's it like where you're at? What's going on?
I live in paradise, actually. I do live in paradise. If you guys came up here, you'd say, this is awesome. I live in what's called the Okanagan Valley, which is in southern BC on the west side of Canada. And we have really mild, we've had great weather for the last 2 months, 25, I think it was 25 degrees Celsius, which is around, I don't know, a little under 80 or Fahrenheit. And it's just been great weather. I was laughing at Jake there when you were talking about, both you guys were talking about, the flies and the horse flies and the skeeters and stuff like that. Well, we're kind of fortunate because at the top of the mountains up here, it's cool enough that they're not out. But man, and when that snow is gone, we're talking millions. It doesn't matter what you do, like you said, especially horse flies around the eyes. Hey, let's go suck that essence out of there so it flares up on you. Yeah, that'll be a good idea. That's discipline. That's why we research. That's a real researcher. Somebody who can come out and do that. None of this pansy stuff. You can't handle bugs. Oh, there's a spider. Don't come in the bush.
Yeah. Okay.
You got to learn how to breathe them in. You got to learn how to breathe the black flies.
Totally. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, the deer flies, the horse flies. Geez, it doesn't end.
No-see-ums is what we have no-see-ums. I don't know if you guys.
Those are my number one nemesis. Are the no-see-ums.
Oh yeah.
They make me swell up like nobody's business. Like,
totally.
They get me up in the face, like my whole face will be all puffed up. They come right through the screens at night.
Yeah.
If you don't, if I have this special no-see-um netting that I bought that I stretch on certain windows, just to keep them from coming in the house, because you get the light on at night, and as soon as it gets dark, they come right through the screens. They're in the house. I'm getting chewed up. They are attracted to my chemistry for how that's how it is. Some people get chewed up and some people don't get chewed up as bad, but those things are evil.
Yeah, and then you wake up, and then when you wake up in the morning, where you had a collar is all bit around here, and where your sock top is, if you're just camping out night, that's all bit around there. It's like little bracelets around every area that's exposed. The joys, and we think we can survive in the bush.
That's one of the parts that I seriously lose my mind on if I don't have proper protection, if I don't have the long sleeve stuff, if I go into where it's super mosquito infested and some wetlands. I have to have either a bug net on or so much bug spray on my head that it's probably doing more damage than good. And that part about it is a little bit tricky, can be, but we found I wish I had some here with us, but we were sponsored by a company called Natrapel, and a couple of years ago, and it's like this almost fully natural bug spray that it comes in a little pump. There's not an aerosol or anything, a little pump, and I put that on, and I put it on religiously. Where I'm working today, I put it on 3 applications today, and it allows you to get by. You still get chewed a little bit, but you can at least think straight. And
they should
recommend it.
That product should test itself in some of the areas I've worked in the bush, and I'm thinking of one particular block that I was working in, and the mosquitoes and the black flies and the no-see-ums were billions. Like on my hair, for every hair I have on my arm, which I have a fairly hairy arm, as you can see there's one for every hair and 100,000 lined up for the rest of it. And on top of it, it was black bear on the block. It was just a huge slop of forestry we were working in. And I was wearing that full body mosquito net and stuff like that. And we would also have to use 99% DEET. And we used to have Walkmans with the headphones. And that DEET was so powerful, it would melt the plastic on the Walkmans. And it was like 30 degrees, 90 degrees out in the bush there, Fahrenheit. And I remember other guys coming up to me, I'll give you $100 for that jacket you're wearing. And I said, not a chance. And then I went, $200. I'll give you $500, Leon. Not a freaking chance, man. Wow. Like, it was insane. And then you had to go into these makeshift showers that they had, right? Which was basically white plastic with piping, and then they piped in the hot water. Mm-hmm. As soon as you walked in there, it was like walking into a furnace, a humidity furnace, with about 100,000 black flies just buzzing. And you try to scold them with the shower head and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, this is awesome." Then you'd come out, you see guys come out of the shower, and no kidding, their eyes would be swelled up or their lip would be puffed up or whatever. They never felt a single anything, and they're like,
"Wow."
Yeah.
That'd be me. That'd be me for sure. Holy shnikes.
Anyway, so yeah. Well, I'm glad we're all alive. That's the bonus.
Yeah. I'm glad we're both doing good. You're in paradise, and we're over here in the Adirondacks.
That's pretty nice in that area, though, from what I've heard.
It's gorgeous. I mean, we're lucky to have everything we have, and lucky to be friends, right, Jake?
What you call God's country, Adam? Yes, I agree.
Hey, I thought this was called that. Maybe it's all of North America.
Maybe it's everywhere.
Yeah, we both got some.
So I wanted to talk to you, first of all, have you come across anybody on your search of higher learning, people that have more education than, say, the average Joe in a couple different fields? I know you wanted to talk, you wanted to talk to people that have higher learning in forestry, and let's start there. Have you got any leads on anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I've been accumulating. I mean, that whole thing, you're probably talking about one of the videos you probably heard me talk about that on, which is I want to get PhD people involved in all this kind of stuff. And is that right?
That's correct.
That's kind of what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
And yeah, I've got that kind of lined up. I've been connecting up with people and stuff like that. I mean, the whole COVID thing's just total flip things around because I was hoping to start this in the fall, last fall. And so that makes it kind of complicated. I'm actually recording, talking to PhD people right now, different types, and recording it, but I haven't put it together because I want to put it together healthy narratively, because I always worry about careful the narrative you hear on here. But the bottom line is that all comes out of a lot of frustration on my part of just trying to find good people to help me be educated about how to find a Sasquatch. And like I said, I've seen one and it was bizarre how it turned out for me, but like my first sighting. But the frustration of being online for 5 years, going through all the videos and stuff, and then being kind of trained the way I'm trained and what I deal with professionally, it kind of, if I wouldn't have had that, I'd probably be just doing like most people are doing online a little bit, but I don't mean that in a negative way. But because I am trained to look for factual stuff a lot with people, when I'm listening to what I'm hearing on the narrative, yeah, if I was here for entertainment, it'd be good stuff for sure. But I'm not here for the narrative. I'm here for people who are actually seriously looking for them. I know there are a lot of people out there that are seriously looking for them. But as an educator and somebody who looks at systems, I come in it with a different view probably than other people who come and see it. And so I look at the whole system, and the Bigfoot community, like I think you might have heard me say this, it's a good system to study because it's only in Western culture 50 years old, basically, or 51 years old.
Semantics, so, Leon, semantics.
What do you mean?
Just little details that don't need to be said.
Oh,
what's the difference between 50 and 51?
Oh, I see. Well, that's the problem is when you do critical thinking or scientific investigation, the semantics are kind of important.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean? Like you have to kind of look at to verify if I'm looking for a Sasquatch. Well, the key part is I want to find a Sasquatch, so I'm probably more critical on myself on the evidence than anybody else would be, and I think it's helpful that way. So,
before we get too much. Oh, sorry.
Wait,
Jake.
hold on. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead, Jake.
but I keep hearing we're kind of dancing around a topic that maybe
help me though. Help me. I'm not understanding what you guys were trying to ask me here.
Well, no, this goes back to something we've talked about a little bit, but for those of us who don't know, could you give us could you let folks at home know about your sighting when you were young, if they're not familiar with your channel, if they're not familiar with
yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. Actually, Daniela on Hidden Mystery, she was the first person that actually got it on live. You guys will be number 2. Congratulations. Because honestly, what I saw, I mean, it's hard to really explain it. And like when Daniela was asking me about it, I said, I'll just share it and you guys can kind of do what you want to do with it, right? Mm-hmm. So what happened was I was heading from Alberta over to British Columbia, and we were on our way over to visit my grandmother. And when we got over the mountains, we were on the Trans-Canada Highway. And as we were driving through the Trans-Canada Highway, it was a beautiful day, blue skies, nice and sunny out, something that I think you guys are enjoying now that you haven't been for the last few days. Right? Awesome. And as we were driving by these lakes, and in British Columbia here, I mean, besides just having monstrous mountains and just great lakes all over the place, we have these kind of chain lakes. And some have large lakes and then real small lakes, and then another chain, like another lake will be really big and then medium sized and that kind of stuff. And so we're driving along these style of lakes along the Trans-Canada Highway. And when we were driving by this one lake, it was a really small lake. It wasn't anything like maybe 500 yards across kind of thing. And as we were driving, and up here, the roads, you can't just drive straight like you would if you guys are, anybody watch from Alberta, you know the difference, or Saskatchewan, it's just straight. If you're not an alcoholic by the time you start, you will be by the time you end. It's like, come on, give me something, you know. So
What?
and here, because of the mountains and stuff, every day, you know, you're curving pretty good. So you're not allowed to, you know, speed like a banshee out of hell or anything like that. So we're not going very fast. And as we're coming around this one little lake, I look over and I see this really kind of strange thing. And what it was this moose that was standing in the middle of the lake. And you guys know about, if you're hunters and stuff like that, you'll see moose in lakes or waterways or meadows or stuff, and they dip their head down and they kind of forage from underneath the water surface for shrubs and bulbs and stuff that happen to be down there. But there was something else that was in my visual, and that was this dark thing. And this dark thing was kind of on this back of this moose, and it was a female. And I thought, as we're driving by, I noticed a moose, and I was raised in hunting, you know, and we ate venison, moose, bear, all that kind of stuff. So, and I'm familiar with what moose are. And as I'm looking down looking at this thing, going, what the hell is that? I don't know if I can swear on your channel here, but
Yeah, go ahead.
okay. So I literally thought to myself, what the hell is it? But as I'm seeing all this going on, what I'm saying in the car is, hey, you guys, I'm 9. Sorry, I forgot to mention, I'm 9 years old. And I forgot to mention, and I'm saying to everybody in the car, hey, did you guys see that moose with that monkey? And everybody's like, what the hell are you talking about? A moose with a monkey, you know? And I kind of felt, well, obviously I felt ridiculed about the whole thing. So I didn't elaborate anymore on anybody in the car, because the response I got was so kind of, that's ridiculous. Now, when I was kind of articulating this whole story to Daniela on her channel there, the weird thing is, what I was looking at was, you guys know a moose's head sits like this, and then it's got the huge, a fairly long neck, a little longer sometimes than a horse, and then it has its back part that's back here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll back up a little bit here. So what I was looking at was this dark thing that was kind of on the back of the moose, and then it would go, when the moose would go down underneath the lake surface and forage from underneath, this black object would go down here. And then when the moose came up, it would just kind of gradually go back down and sit back on the shoulder blade. And it did it a few times, and it was only about a minute and a half. Like, because when I first seen it, I was really surprised no one else could see. Anyways, when I looked at that thing, I thought, what is that? And I wasn't too sure. I didn't use the word, when I saw it, I didn't use the word, oh, there's a baby Sasquatch.
Yeah.
You know, and that tells me some important data today about whether or not it's a perceptual thing that I believe I'm remembering as a 9-year-old, or did I actually see it?
Mm.
And I use the word monkey. Now that would make sense, because I like Curious George. And if I saw something that looked like a monkey or looked like something like a bipedal going down on this neck and then going back up, I'm going to say the word monkey. I'm not going to say the word Sasquatch. And the other weird thing too was I noticed that it didn't look like it was worried. The moose didn't seem concerned about the whole thing and that. And when I watched it move down its neck and back up, it was almost like it was playing on its neck. It was almost like a moose was nursing about that. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in the adult world, there's not a chance I would share that with anybody unless we're all drinking whiskey and they're going to say, let me go. Oh, yeah, sure.
You've got some whiskey?
We got Canadian whiskey, man.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
LPG.
I don't share that. And again, that first response I had with the whole thing was weird. And the only reason why I kind of started sharing it, because I only told a couple of people in my 5 years of meeting other researchers online. Thomas Steenberg was probably the first person I mentioned. And you might as well just show us, because we know you're doing it, buddy.
What does that mean?
Oh my God, he's drinking a beer. That makes me want to drink. Sorry, one moment.
It's a vanilla porter. It's not that. I don't want to be a distraction.
So the only reason why I kind of started feeling more comfortable about seeing it is because online, you come across a lot of great other videos that have nothing to do with Sasquatch, but other species that hang around with and care for other species. And grizzlies that hang out with wolves, those are natural predators. But there's videos online of a particular grizzly and a wolf that hang out with each other. Crows and cats. Crows and cats and baboons who go and hijack puppies. You can check all these videos out online. And they hijack puppies, and the reason why they hijack puppies is they raise the puppies and they become sentries for their troops. It's kind of interesting. So that, and the reason why I delayed was I didn't know how to articulate it so people wouldn't think I'm crazy. So the idea is if there's precedent, I guess, for a moose taking care of baby Sasquatch, toddler Sasquatch. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of species online that are doing that. So is it possible? There's a precedent set out there. Did I interpret the data correctly as a 9-year-old? Visually, I did. But I'm not over there checking the tree line, and maybe there's a Squatch there. I could show you pictures of up in Canada here, we used to ride mooses. So is it possible for a human being to ride a back of a moose? Yeah, matter of fact, we use them for plows, and we used them for pulling sleigh in the wintertime and stuff like that. So I don't know. So that kind of added part of this, the curiosity. And plus I like interesting stories about life and stuff that's kind of mysterious and stuff. And that's kind of a fun one. I learned about courage to actually come online and say it to people, whether people believe it or not. But I'm not going to be not true for what I believe and what I see, but I certainly have to vet it to make sure that my perception is correct of what I thought I see. And, there's some heavy ways of me knowing how I know that information, that it was what I saw. So it depends on how deep you boys want to get tonight.
Well, we have you on for a reason.
Okay. All right.
All right. The main reason is to have fun.
Right. Well, the problem is we're also going to be talking deep conversation, but I like to have fun, and that's when I'm educating people. We're talking some serious shit with people usually when I'm teaching courses, and you got to have levity. And I think that's the other thing too that I had found frustrating online was. Oh my gosh, I mean, we're arguing about something we really don't even know. We're taking sides and we're going to defend it to the end. It's like, I don't know what a Sasquatch is. I've seen a Sasquatch. I've seen a lion. I've seen grizzlies. I've seen cougars. I've seen giraffes. So I must know everything about them. No, I don't know anything about fish, and I like fishing. So I'm not a fish. I've seen them. I eat them. I fry them up on a pan. But what do I know about them? I don't know anything about them. That's why I want to see one again. I want to see one with the eyes, the education, and the capacity I have in my body today. So hopefully I can first sculpt it, but I'd like to film it. But, our guys have been going up into an area here now for probably 4 weeks and trying to get into this one area because we have a hunter we've had 2 sightings in the same area. And that's significant. They're within 12 kilometers of each other. And the one guy was a hunter that bumped into one when he was deer hunting, and another one's a bear hunter. And the bizarre part of it is they're freaked out. Like literally, you've heard that you guys have talked to enough people where they say, "I don't want to go back in the bush." These guys have hunted these areas for a while, Absolutely. And when you have people that have been in the bush for a long time, and I've been in the bush and I've seen grizzlies. I've been stalked by grizzly, stalked by cougar. I know what it's like. You don't piss around with Mother Nature because it's a natural world, not our technological capacity world that we live in. It's foreign ground to us now. We're no longer there anymore. So, the neat thing is for us is all of us, and for us to, I kind of formed a certain team. Or I've been developing a certain team and been patient for years because you have to find the right people that you're looking for. And so like we have Nick Evans, who's from Raw Skills Bushcraft, ex-British military, 6'3", jogs with 50-pound gear on for 20 miles through the bush. I'm talking jogging. I'm not talking walking. So he's used to being in the bush. He's been in military. He's been in high stress situations. Another fellow we have is a fellow who's the ex fire chief for a major metropolitan area here. He's somebody who's used of crisis. So in other words, we want looking for me, the forming of a team is you need people who can manage their internal system when stuff is going down. Because if you can't do that, there's no way you're going to get the shot. And part of, again, I don't know anything about Sasquatch. I just want to see one again. Yeah. And that's been a question I've been posing for 5 years when I've met quite a few other researchers about how do you see them? Like, how do you see them? I don't buy they're supernatural. I don't. I mean, the data I collect, because I collect a lot of data differently, again, the way other people collect, 80% of everybody who sees deer, moose, coyotes, not the more elusive predatorial kind of animals, like wolverines. Not many people see wolverines that often. You see them in the morning and at nighttime. That's 80% of the sightings. So when do most of the sightings for Bigfoot come in? Morning or nighttime? There may be other data there. In other words, because we're awake during those times, we don't see that they're actually operating all night long. Mm-hmm. But if you got at least some kind of a boundary period there of realizing that majority, 80%, if you're deer hunters and stuff, you go out in the morning, you go out after, just before dusk. And because you have a higher chance of seeing them. So I don't know if you have to spend the whole night in the bush. I mean, look at the original film we're all talking about. It was daytime. Yeah. And that was a long time ago. So if we do it right and we kind of shift the system we have, in other words, the online scene is just a style of it, but we need to somehow form some new way online to communicate the right stuff so we can all pick through the data and use it. I was thinking about this the other day on this video I'm working on right now, which is we need to have a standard for data collecting, and we all have to go by the same standard. Interesting. And that scientific method is that standard, and it pisses scientists off as much as it pisses us off because we don't like to be wrong about things, especially you invest a lot of time, a lot of finances, a lot of energy, and then you go online and you share those concepts and those ideas, so you're kind of locked in because you don't want to feel stupid, embarrassed, or wrong. And I was kind of thankful that when I put one of my first videos out there, I said, I came across all these structures because a lot of stuff that was told to me was structures represent Sasquatch. And of course, I came across this great thing where there was just tons of Sasquatch stuff, right? Of structures. But I did my research and found out it wasn't done by Sasquatch at all. And I had to come back online because I came online thinking, this means it's Sasquatch, you guys. I'm filming it, saying, hey, this is going to be Sasquatch. What? Oh, I lucked out, is the odds of that. And then it didn't turn out to be Sasquatch. So I have to fess up. For you guys out there who are looking for solid honesty and sincerity, because when we come online, that's what we have as an honest, trusting regulator. I'm trusting you guys are somewhat fair. I already know you're insane and crazy. Thus, my reasoning wanted to get together with you a little bit, because levity is very important when you're trying to educate yourself. It knocks that serious biasness of your opinion about what you believe to be true, which isn't a fact. I can be sincere about something, but I can be sincerely wrong. And I've been there hundreds of times. I haven't died when I confessed about it. And I think that's the other thing too, is if we would just, I'm not sure if this is a Sasquatch, I can work with that. And again, that method is important, whether a person, I don't care whether a person believes that they're, going through portals and all that kind of stuff. There still has to be the same data, systematic thinking capacity of some kind of standard that we all use so that all of us can vet it. And that scientific method is kind of about that. We don't have to be afraid of it. And that's the other weird thing. I'm not sure why people seem to be afraid of, do you want to find out what you're looking at or don't you? unless my identity comes from being online and I get my strokes from my great subscribers and stuff, you're like, well, I'm not online to have a lot of subscribers. Trust me. The last video I did, I think it had like 3,600 views on it. Most I have is 300, 600 people, but I've been flying under the radar for 5 years because I'm also studying the online scene. And so I'm not, and I don't need a lot of people. I'm just looking for the right people. We have North America. There's thousands of us doing this, but it's really hard to find the ones that are kind of similar or thinkers, I guess, as you. So
sure.
And I, just so if you're watching right now, I also have a big peeve against the so-called critical thinking sites that are out there and the way they respond to people who don't quite know any information. It's almost like they're the watchers of the gate. Critical thinking sites should be about educating people. And I could go on a whole thing on another line on that one in regards to the whole massacre thing that's going on there.
I wanted to talk to you about that. We'll save that for
sure
a little later in the show.
Sure.
Right now, I want to hit on just a couple quick things.
Yep.
First of all, how's your health? I know you're alive and you're well. You've had some heart issues. I just want to make sure that Leon's okay.
You guys are gossipers down there in the States, man. You wouldn't know that information unless you were talking to specific people that I know.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm prone to get
only personal. This is only personal. I just want to make sure you're doing okay.
Oh no, I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I deal with it a lot. I get blood clots. It's part of a tradition I have.
Okay. Secondly, you talking about Curious George?
Yes.
Do you remember him having a tail or no tail?
There was no tail.
There was no tail?
No.
Okay. So you obviously haven't been affected by the Mandela effect.
Or as I like to call it, Adam, the Mandela effect.
Yeah. The great Mandela.
Hey, that was brilliant. I just want to point that out. That was brilliant. No, I have not.
another quick thing. I was just thinking about your sighting, your encounter story with the juvenile, the young one hanging on the moose neck and everything. Do you think there's a possibility of maybe that it wasn't the moose wasn't being like its provider or in any kind of symbiotic relationship with it? It was just, the family of Bigfoot were beyond the tree line, and this thing was just going out, being a kid, playing with the moose like it does every once in a while. Did it ever come to your mind like that?
Well, no.
No?
No. It was playing, though, on its back. And the reason why I say no is, again, I'm pretty open-minded about some pretty strange stuff in the bush because I've experienced some pretty strange stuff in the bush. Could a family be there with a moose? Look, we talk about this concept that Sasquatch might be more man than non-man kind, humanoid, right?
Yeah.
Humans hang out with moose. I just told you that we used them in Canada. We used them in logging. We used them in all this kind of stuff. So if they're more humanoid, and what we're talking about with me, my perception of Sasquatches is they have a higher conscious availability to them. What that means is that they have a conscious awareness of if they saw a reflection of themselves, they know that they're looking at themselves. And there's other animals on the planet that have that. Certain ones have it at certain levels, though. Not only do I know that it's myself, I like to explore and look at myself. Dolphins will do that with a mirror. Elephants can recognize themselves. What's that?
I did that once.
What, you looked into a mirror and recognized yourself, or what?
Yesterday, I think it was. Jake?
I don't have mirrors. Vonnegut called them leaks, so I try to keep them out of the house. They're leaks into other dimensions.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't care if there is. I just, if I see it, that's what I'll say. Geez, you should have seen what happened today, you guys. I saw this baby moose on the back of a baby Sasquatch on the back of a moose go through a portal, come back out with a band of Sasquatches. If I see that, I'll tell people that's what I see. I'm not in threat of it, but in the same sense, I have to really reflect on understanding about mind games your brain plays with you. And, look for the data. I'd like to think too, Jacob or Adam, about what you're talking about there. Is it possible that style of community in the forest could happen with Sasquatches and their offspring and moose or other things? I'd like to think that may be possible. I think that would be quite unique in regards to information and data. But I mean, it's in my mind that's a big jump for my brain to go right to that. But I can see it being possible.
It's only hypothesis right now. But when you were telling me the story, I was like trying to get as deeply involved with it mentally as I could and put myself in your shoes, sitting there as a kid watching this and just being engrossed in the situation and trying to see it. And I just thought that, this is part of its like daily routine. It goes out and hangs out with the moose every once in a while.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's kind of interesting how you worded that there too, because it's not, when I'm going back into that memory, that's what I'm talking about. It was playing on the back of a moose.
Yeah.
So yeah, from that mindset, and I got to be cautious I don't take the adult Leon brain and analyze, project onto it, lay it over top of that memory. But I can tell that, like you said, is a possible. All I know is it didn't look worried, and the moose didn't look concerned. It was like something that has been going on for a while. That's all I really know, because that's all I saw for a minute and a half. I don't have the adult body to go back and investigate whether or not there's anything there. But yeah, that's exactly how you would look at it. Or,
I mean, for all we know, the moose and the juvenile Sasquatch could have known each other when they were even littler, and now they're older. Not much older, but older enough. So, maybe they've known each other for a longer time than we know. And
well,
was it a bull moose, or was it a female moose, or was it just?
No, it was definitely it wasn't a bull moose. It was a female moose, and it wasn't it wasn't a juvenile. I made a mistake, I think, when I used that at first when I was talking with Danielle on I meant juvenile by being really young, but it was more of a toddler. So you're talking like a 2 to 3 year old kind of 4-year-old kind of kid almost, and its height was about half the length of the neck of the moose.
Wow.
And so it was going around its head. It was just like, if it was going down there, it was arms around it, and its head was kind of on the side and would go down. The funny thing too is when the moose would go down like this, it wouldn't go down backwards. It would go down head first.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then when it came back up, it would be upright, of course, and then it would climb down its arm, or its neck, and then go onto the back again. So that was interesting. Jake, you look like you're itching about asking me something.
Yeah, Jake, I was going to say, what's on the hot? What do you got? What do you got going on here?
No, I'm in my mind. I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's like kind of Native American Indian style. I'm imagining, someone they're so connected with, their horse going down and just seeing that, but not the whole Loch Ness Monster or Lake Champlain, that kind of image too. But I just see sorry, I'm rambling. I just saw that image. I was seeing that image play out in my mind, the playful nature of this being.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Leon, you have some really interesting facts. I don't know if they're facts because I haven't vetted your little talk and whatever, but I was listening to some things on your channel today. I wasn't able to watch. I wasn't able to look at the tracks because I was painting up on a ladder, but I was listening. And
that's how I do my investigating too.
It's the best way to do it. It's the best way to do it.
Well, for sure. What else are you doing? You got your auditorial.
And I tell you what, when I was up on that ladder, I heard something that sounded like Sasquatch, and it sounded like it from behind me. And
I thought that was an elk.
I
thought that was an elk. I was listening to it today too.
And then it wouldn't be there. But you were talking about like deer tracks. I mean, you're just a little simple video talking about deer tracks, and this is a deer track. What kind of deer track? Oh, it's a female. Oh, it's a doe. It's pregnant. Blah blah blah. This is a buck, and this is a buck in the fall versus one that might not have his horns on him, and all this other stuff. Very very interesting things. Thanks. You didn't elaborate on where you exactly got the information from, and maybe you did. Maybe I ran around the corner to like rinse out my paintbrush and come back. But anyway, I never got that information. So where'd you get all this awesome information, this knowledge of tracking? Because I would love to be a part of that. And
that's a good question, Adam. That's a really good question. Well, part of it is about, you know, if you're going to be looking for anything in the bush, you have to train yourself in a variety of fronts. You know, you can't, I mean, if you're doing it personally, like if you're hunting for deer or moose or elk or anything like that, you have to train yourself about how to track them and what you're looking at in regards to prints and stuff. And so, I mean, again, I was raised basically in the bush. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I was raised on military bases, but if you're any military people out there, you know, they don't give you enough money to eat or feed your family. So you go out hunting so you can fill the freezer for the winter coming in Canada. Awesome. I'll say. Right.
That is awesome.
That the bush hasn't been in my system for a long time. But as I got older and stuff like that, I know, and especially when I stopped being in forestry as much, you kind of lose your flavor, or Thomas Seawood calls it your, what's he called it? He calls it the
oneness.
What?
Your oneness?
No, it's not oneness. It's like the it factor in the bush, but he called it's not spice. Anyways, it'll come to me in a sec here. You know, and so the idea about, if I'm going to look for Sasquatch again, I have to sharpen up on my tools and all that kind of stuff. And so I know people who are guides and hunters and stuff. And the idea about my channel too, and it is about education. I'm not looking for 70,000 people. As an educator, actual educator, man, if I have a classroom full of 600 people that watch my channel, even 250 of them, that's all I care about. That's 250 great people that I can, and they can also train each other. That's all it's about. I'm not a Sasquatch expert. I don't know what the hell that is. All I know is I'm a guy who's curious, that believes I saw one when I was a kid. I want to see one again, but I have to do it academically now because that's how my brain works. So, and it also helps other people out. You know, if you're going, you know, it's like tree snaps and stuff. Well, how do you know that is from a Sasquatch? There's 5 different reasons it can be just naturally done that way. But if you don't train yourself to do it, you're not going to be able to recognize that. If I had 24/7 and this was my whole life, I could do videos on each of this. And so when you're looking at this is what it means, but I can't do that. But I do that with my guys. And this is why that's there. And this is why that looks that way. And this is why this is all twisted. And sometimes you'll find branches that look like a branch like this, and they got tons of bark that's wrapped all around them. What's that all about? But I don't like telling people the answers because I want them to be curious and go investigate, because the information is actually, it's quite readily available online. You don't have to go to YouTube to find it. You can go to, type that in, go wildlife, bizarre stuff or whatever like that, and it'll take you to some kind of good agency site, or like Roskill's Bushcraft site.
Accredited, not just part of the YouTube narrative.
Well, you got to be careful on the YouTube narrative, because look, I don't expect, on my last video I did, I think I had somebody say to me, this guy, I don't think I really understand him very much and stuff, and I think he's on drugs. Well, no.
Wait, that's our line.
Specifically, he said cocaine, and he put that down on that, you know, down here below here. You know, people do comments.
The comments down below.
Yeah, gotcha. So, I mean, you get those kind of comments and stuff. I don't hold that against the guy, because the guy's watching a 30-minute video of me. He doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. Sure. You know, I've been doing this for 5 years, and the people on my Facebook, or Bigfoot Okanagan's Facebook page and on my YouTube channel, they have a context of where I've been going with them for 5 years. So somebody jumps on the board with me right now, well, they're not going to have that foundation of understanding why I'm here. I'm not here to be popular. I know I could be popular because I just did a video that get 3,500 views on it in 2 weeks. Like, yeah, but I'm not here to be popular. My life isn't Bigfoot. My life is Leon. Your life's Adam, and your life's Jake. We're interested in this stuff, so let's look at it as Adam, Jake, and Leon instead of, and then just use each other to look at the data down here, so it's objective and not subjective to what we're hoping it to be and believe it might be. That's not objective, that's subjective. And it's going to skew things for us. So what the hell were we talking about?
I think it has something to do with a squirrel riding an eagle down through the Grand Canyon and got it on video.
That's what I thought.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. Say that one more time if you're serious.
Have you seen the video of the squirrel on the like eagle's back riding it?
Oh no, that's a great one.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a trained squirrel and a trained bird though, because we have.
I don't know if it was trained or not, but it must have been kind of trained if someone got video of it. But anyway,
Yeah.
that reminded me of that video that I saw years ago on YouTube of the squirrel riding. It was a crow or an eagle or something cruising along. It was like the Bigfoot on the moose. You know, just like,
Well,
hey,
exactly. Yeah, whatever.
get me over there.
Yeah. Well, if I get one again, and I can see a toddler Sasquatch on the back of a moose, I'll videotape it for you this time. And we'll use videotape instead of digital, because video you can't fake video. Digital you can fake, but video.
Yeah.
So don't go get the $50,000 cameras. Go find some of these really good high quality video cameras that are still out there.
I got one right
A
there.
nice high 8. Nice Sony high 8.
Yeah, I have the one that you have to go like this with. It's a bugger to carry through the bush, I'll tell you.
We used to use those all the time in media class. They're awesome.
Yeah, I love that one.
That's it. Yeah, you got it, Jake.
That's a good one.
Leon, I often have this kind of like thing happen in my mind where I wonder, like tree structures, okay? Tree snaps, blah, blah, blah. Until we get video footage of a Sasquatch breaking them or making them, who's to say that it isn't some kind of strange, like, thing that happens, like, in like 2 seconds, all the trees, when no one's looking, just go, whoo, and are just there and nothing touches it.
Yes.
You know, almost like, you know, the video footage of like a crop circle just manifesting itself in about 20 seconds, which, you know, they say, man, it's going to take 6 guys, probably 4 hours. They can do it overnight under the darkness and get away with it. But, you know, we see these things. Jake and I see these things in the woods all the time. And now we're more apt to find them because we're looking for them. But I remember when I was a little kid seeing strange things in the woods, wondering why is that like that? Mm. And now that we're doing the Bigfoot research, it all makes sense that it's something with Bigfoot. But until someone has footage or somebody like catches them in the act, how do we know that that's even freaking related to Bigfoot? Like,
well,
come on, how?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, that's the point. I don't believe Sasquatch do anything with structures at all. I think structures are man-made. You know how earlier you said you were kind of appreciated that detail I talked to you about in regards to those prints, the deer prints. Yeah. How I knew they were pregnant, whether it was a doe and whether it was carrying a fawn, a buck. Well, because I had to train myself about reading tracks. So I looked at online and I went online and I thought, let's type in bushcraft structures. And you guys can do this at home. Go to your your browser and type in Sasquatch structures. Click on images, and you'll see a whole list of Sasquatch structures that's claimed to be Sasquatch structures. Open another browser, type in bushcraft survival structures. And what you will see is a whole list of pictures again, if you hit images, of those. Mm-hmm. Just look at them, go through all of them. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. So if there's people in the bush doing that, then it's more likely that's what it's going to be. There was a great video that came out from Andy McGrath. I can't remember what they called it. Oops, you guys still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry, I touched my thing here. And they did in the documentary what they did in England. In the northern part of England, they have a forest that's been totally built, like reforested, right? When they did that, and those guys went up and researched up there in that area of replanted forest that was been built, and it's now got huge timber in it, nice big trees, not a single bloody tree structure. And they had pointed out, it's kind of weird that there's no tree structures here. We have a forest here, but there's no tree structures here at all. So where do tree structures usually be found? Around where humans are. Humans are up in this area to go through this nice area that's up here, but they don't have any tree structures up there. So when you're looking at I shouldn't say that. They're not, the people walking around that forest there are not as many as we would find as access forests that most of us have as the general public to have access to. Mm-hmm. Again, there's another video I was working on once, and look at, if I was something that lived in the bush, and I was my custom image or my cultural image would be imprinted in my system. What do I mean by that? Well, if you go online as well and you type up Russian architect, Japanese architect, American architect, Arabic architect, you can see the cultural imprint, visual, cultural, emotional imprint on their structures, if you view it that way. Okay. So what made me started to question the structures online was the idea of, I had a trusting regulator. I have an open regulator. I'm trusting what I'm hearing online to be somewhat hopefully solid. So when I'm hearing a narration of people saying structures equals Sasquatch, I know nothing about Sasquatch, remember, when I come online. So that's a building block that's now online, or in my mind, my brain, sorry, not my mind. Because you're not your brain, you're actually your mind, your consciousness of yourself. Your brain's a data collecting system. and so I take that data and I find 15 structures, and not only that, they're moving, they're reshaping themselves. And so I take those pictures and I put it online and I say, is this what you guys are talking about? And they're going, yeah, that's it. Those are great catches, Leon. That's awesome. Yeah, okay, but there was something that wasn't sitting right with me in a way with what I was looking at, because I didn't have a cultural imprint of something that would be living in the forest. If you look at First Nations, whatever environment they're in, you can see that their architect style kind of fits that environment because they live in that environment. So when you come into the bush, when I look at structures, they don't look like something that I would think a Sasquatch cultural imprint would look like emotionally. It would look more natural and naturally woven into nature, not standing right out of nature. I don't know any animal that does not. Maybe the boa bird, they make quite interesting nests and stuff like that. But
it would be built into the, I'm sorry, it would be built into the landscape more, so to speak.
Yeah, well, it would feel like it's part of the environment. Yeah, totally. Yeah, because if you're chronically walking through another country and you're seeing the architect throughout the country, you're seeing similarities in the emotional imprint, visual imprint you're getting in your body of a feel of the design of the architect. If something had a conscious availability that has a higher conscious availability that's trying to communicate something in some way, then yeah. So it's not that I don't believe that they don't use the forest to somehow communicate. That's not what I'm saying. I do believe that, but what I've come across, and I didn't send you this one tree thing I came into, was just really strange, but it was very sophisticated, and it looked like what we're talking about was, yeah, if a Sasquatch was doing this, this is what it looked like. And what it was had nothing to do with any of this stuff that's claimed online in regards to structures. Gullible White Guy Sasquatch, that was the whole one of coming clean about all that. It was a long video that I did up called Gullible White Guy Looking for Sasquatch. Because I was gullible. I didn't want to be gullible because I do have a flaw about me, is I trust in the humanity of good people. And I'd rather see all people that way. I know we're all screwed up. I'm screwed up. And I do this for a living. But I can do this, which is called smiling, because I own my bloody brutality of what's happened to me in my life, right? So I just want to find the solid information, so I'm not wasting a lot of time on other stuff. And I did waste a lot of time on my other stuff because of the narration I was hearing online of what these things were supposed to be and what we're supposed to be looking for. That's why when I talked to the late, you know who he is. Thank you. Like I said, I only have a few I left a few gray cells left in my brain for you guys tonight. Yeah, when I was out talking to John Bindernagel a couple of years ago, just
cool guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. he's a great guy. And that's the kind of people I'm looking for. They're just very honestly sincere. He's got no other agenda. He just wants information and data. And he really impressed on me about tracks are facts. And I agree with them. Tracks are facts. So if you're looking for the truth, what's the truth? Are Sasquatch real? That's what we're supposed to be looking for, not the
Robert Krantz.
Yeah, and I don't where that branches off to, but we're branching off way too quick without getting to that secondary block yet, or third block. We know the lead, so go ahead.
One of the things me and Jake come across when we're out in the bush, and this is local. I'm saying this is a square, I'd say 2 miles, and part of the area that we do a lot of our research in, or we did before we just recently found out that a great portion of it was logged off, and we decided it couldn't even walk through it. We got out of there. But we've been going in there for years, and we would see these things, and they're not structures, they're not tree structures, but they're like oddities in the woods that just like you just turn, and some of these places have the stuff that's there, and we know that, well, we don't know, but we're pretty damn sure that it isn't people making these things because of the location that they're at. And we find these huge, perfect X's in the trees. And then there'll be one tree on it like this. So it'll be like a perfect X this way, and then one tree up the middle. And it's like this weird thing. And we see them all over the place, and they're like completely symmetrical. And they're the trees, that there isn't like one little tree and one fat tree. They're both like, it's like this thing was handpicked to make this thing. And they're like, it's a regular thing that we see out in the woods. And it's not some kind of weird structure that looks like, oh, this thing's made by it's a Sasquatch thing. But it's like almost like there's sign of something, like something there making some kind of sign. Is it a directional sign? Is it? I have no clue what it is. Is it just random nature in that one area? I just want your point of view on what we're seeing, if you can picture it in your mind.
Well, I can picture it, but I'm not on site. This is a big difference from getting pictures or seeing things on video compared to being able to assess things on site.
We say that all the time. The same exact thing. Video, pictures, whatever, does not do it any justice. Nothing does. You have to be there.
And I don't know if you caught that part about people were talking or asked me when I was getting interviewed with Bigfoot Odyssey. I think it was on there where they were talking about, well, when you come across large logs like this that are hanging up way high up in the air, I don't understand that. And again, this goes back to the question about tracking and also about structures. You have to learn how to educate yourself on a variety of fronts if we're going to be serious out there, because it's going to help us. You want to eliminate everything, the inappropriate hypothesis as quick as possible. And that's why you go critically after it. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what it is. But you have to have tools to go and look at stuff. So it's very critical. So you're being fair, and you're not actually going to throw something out that you might be supposed to be looking at, like you said. Like I've come across one video, I can't remember what I actually named it, but it's kind of like strange tree structure. And as I'm driving up to it, I got the camera as I'm driving in this back skid trail. And all of a sudden you see this thing, and you see it as you walk up to it. There's something really different about that. Now, if you sent me pictures, I at least would have a better reference point, because all I have is the reference point of what I've seen in the bush, those building blocks my brain now carries of these X's and stuff. And they were, So when I was talking to Jason on that interview there, they were asking me about those large trees and how they can hang up there. And I pointed out to them, David Pilates' new documentary. And if you go up to where the Sierra camp was, you see in the film of that documentary of the main door, which was a chunk of wood that was really thick, leaned up onto that where they were staying inside of that kind of makeshift structure in a way, right? And that footage shows it, I think it's in 1976. But David Pilates, in the documentary sharing, he was saying Forestry has come and asked these guys to take this all down. So they did. They destructured all that structure they had, but the door was still there, and they put it down on the ground and they filmed the door. So I sent a picture to those guys. I don't think we had a chance to show it yet, but when you look at it, think about it. That's 1976, and David Pilates does the documentary now in 2018, I think is when he finished it. So that's how many years? And that door does not look like it's been in the elements.
43 years. Thanks
for the ad.
Well, that's a door that isn't like necessarily in Earth's composition. It's not in Earth's compost pile. You know, you get down there with the bugs and the exactly. worms and the critters and the beetles. That thing's going to be in an acidic soil. That door will disappear.
Right. Well, and that's the point I was trying to make is all I know is I've come across something that's been hanging there, but it's the size of something that could be hanging there for at least 40 years. And a lot of things can happen to something hanging in there. It's not like it's hanging down on the ground, because if it was on the ground, like you said, in an acid area where a bear can get to it and get the grubs out of it as it rots, that's going to dissipate very quickly.
Gone.
It's all
5 years.
Yeah. So when it's off the ground, so when you're kind of asking me about the idea of what you're saying about that, I can't really say, you guys, because I'm not there. I don't know.
Fair enough.
You'd have to branch off on your other stuff, which you should be expecting. If something's doing that at the level of the size that everyone's saying they're saying this, in other words, they have the capacity to move these big chunks of bush and stuff, or logs, you know, that are like this big kind of thing. Well, there better well be huge prints around there. There's got to be prints there. They might be older prints, but there's got to be sign on the ground then if they're wandering around doing that kind of stuff.
Well, we don't have you know, visual reference to what we're talking about right now. But me and Jake go and explore that area. We noticed, now it's all logged off and it's terrible, but we noticed that no matter what we did and no matter how we walked around, we couldn't leave really footprints anywhere, and that it was like a large amount of pine duff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you'd stomp on it and walk around, and it wouldn't leave anything. I'm like, this is like the perfect place for something to come and do like whatever they're gonna do, and not leave any tracks at all.
Okay, I mean, so what you do is you do that.
Walking a sponge.
Yep. Yep. So what you got to do is you got to open your camera lens more. Okay. So you got that part of it. So, but if it's a small area too, like I said, it really sucks, honestly, you guys, for you if they actually came and logged half of that bloody area out.
They did.
Dude,
it totally
that's awful.
Especially if you had opportunity of something like that too. So you have to figure out, you know, how do you find okay, so you realize it's stuffy, you realize it's like that. Well, then this is where tracking and reading the ground comes in. The next stage you would want to do, first of all, is if you can notice if there's any fresh breaks or new breaks and find out when in the season they are, especially if you have them in the spring or fall. Then when you're going out there, you're going to go out there in the morning and you're going to look for dew when it's dewy out on the ground. Because if they're going through there, it's kind of like up here. I like the wintertime, because when you look for tracks that are tightrope walking, it's dots. So when you're flying around in a helicopter, you're not looking for, you can see deer tracks and how they work because they counteract themselves. But you're just looking for a line of dots. That's all you're looking for. So you can fly over huge chunks of area looking for white dots in the white paper that's on the table, basically. And so, but, you know, when you're talking a situation that you're in, because that's kind of like Justin from Mountain Beast Mystery area there. And I know the Nordegg area because I used to live up in that area too. So you get into those mossier areas and stuff. It's tough.
Muskegs?
What's that?
Up in the muskegs?
Well, the muskeg would be better to check out. I'd like to wonder whether or not there's any bodies underneath some of that muskeg.
Okay.
You know, like those peat mosses, man. That's probably what's going to happen. Someone in Britain will say, "Oh, look, there's a bone. Oh, there's a Sasquatch," and all us North Americans will go.
Leon, I spread 4 bales of peat moss on my little garden this morning, and all of a sudden I found a wedding ring.
Are you serious?
No, I'm just kidding. Oh,
I was gonna say that's a bonus. You got that for free then.
Yeah, it was one of those buried bodies. What do you guys think of this, Jake? Jake, what do you think of this? First of all, I want your
Jeez Louise. My first impression is this photo has
no pun
to
intended. No pun intended. Your first impression, no pun intended, Jake. Come on.
My first impression of this photo is, having just looked up from the pewter webs, is I mean, look at this. This photo was taken near the photographer's birthday and or Christmas, is all I'll have to say. You can tell by those kicks. Look at them. Those are new kicks, bro. You get new kicks at your birthday and Christmas. So I know this was taken at Christmas time, but geez Louise, you couldn't ask for a better place to get a print sample. Look at the cracks in that thing. That thing is huge.
Those are like honeycombs, and they're at least 3 months old. Look at the cigarette burn on the left. The guy's a smoker. His ash went down on the left toe, pinky toe, burnt off the mesh right there. That's for sure. And then you look in the heel of the print. It looks like the Sasquatch had a skin graft down on his heel. It's all like chicken skin down there. What's going on with that?
Oh, you guys are getting smarter.
No, we're born this way, Leon. I'm telling you.
That's awesome. We all are. It's not that we're not intelligent. It's not that we're not intelligent. We just lack information and data. There's a very specific reason I sent you that.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I'm glad you noticed that little dotted part in there too, right? You were saying, I think you're near the heel. Now that there is sent to me from Thomas Seawood. And he has fancy shoes on in there. And you're pretty good. Actually, you noticed that the ash was there because Thomas is a smoker.
I don't fuck around here.
Yeah.
Tell you that right now.
Little thing.
So the interesting thing about that track was when you look at it, it's pretty impressive looking track and stuff like that. But I noticed a couple of things, and I did notice that those little dots that are in the center of the track. Now, I'm not sure how well it would show up to the people who are viewing at home there, but as you zoom in there, what you see is little dots near the heel, like you're saying, in the footprint.
Like a skin graft.
And they're little tiny white dots. You can see those little tiny white dots there. What do you think those are?
I mean, to me, it looks like material. Looks like some sort of material, like almost like a mesh of some sort.
Well, they can look like, it's not quite a mesh though, because they're independent dots, right? They're not connected dots.
Well, you can't tell that from here. They may be connected, they may not be. It may be something that the casting was actually poured from, left over. I'm not sure. I'm not certain. What enlighten us?
Okay.
So,
all right.
So like a stipple?
Because you guys actually have that picture. If you zoom into that picture, you'll see those are independent dots. And what you're looking at there are pores on the back part of an animal. So I sent you those other pictures of the gorilla foot.
I want to see this one. Let's talk about this one first.
Okay. So when you look at that, you can see there's cracks and you can see stuff like that. But I try to help you out, and I'm sure it'll be able to show it close enough. But when you look at that, that's the bottom of what a gorilla footprint looks like. And at the back part of the heel, because they have that part right there, the not the lighter gray, but the darker gray to the left in the circle, those are all pores. You'll see if you zoomed in there, unfortunately.
No, I see them. I see the pores, little dots there.
Great.
Folks at home, if you want to take this and pause this on a day off and rewind it and watch this episode again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, of course. But go in there and look at what we're talking about. Look at what Leon's talking about. There's lots of little minute impressions that look like a bunch of tiny craters all up on the interior part of the heel. Not the pad, but up a little bit higher there. They're all like these little pores there.
Right. And then I gave you one more that's a bit more of a close-up, but I'm not sure if it'll show up because every time I edit, of course, it kept the picture slow. So the significant thing about that, if you can put that larger footprint there, you'll notice I also circled the back end of that print. Not in that picture, but by the back heel, there's another footprint there.
Yeah, it looks like a human almost.
It looks like a human. What you're looking at is a female Sasquatch and she's got a toddler footprint that's walked into the back. So I sent you guys 3 more pictures. One zoomed in a bit.
Huh, I didn't get those.
What?
No, I didn't get those, or else they'd be right here with us.
Because I know my email says it's sent to you.
Well, I didn't get them, or else they'd be right here with us.
So you can see how, if you look in the where Thomas's heel is, and then go down, you'll see a sharp cut into the side of the foot.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Now go to the bottom, or go to the bottom of the picture. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the toe mark.
Yeah.
Of the little toes. Can you see that?
Right. Yeah. The black 1, 2, 3, 4. The cracks.
Right. And then and there's that where the big toe is. There's a crack just on the top of that up there. I can't believe you guys didn't get the zoomed in picture to that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm going to hold it against you forever. It's just the way I am. Very spiky, very bitter old man that I am.
That sounds fair. It sounds apt.
But that's too bad. Because I actually just checked that email and it said it sent all.
Well, it might be here. It might have been an oversight of mine.
Okay. Because what I did was I actually put little blue dots just in front of the toes as I zoomed it in, so you guys could see it better, and outlined the whole footprint inside there as well. And the thing is I don't think Thomas recognized or noticed that. Because actually when I was pulling out pictures thinking, which one should I show you? And I just noticed that, and I've had this picture for a while. And I thought, wait a second, what's that back there? And I thought, that sure looks like little tiny toes with a big fat toe, almost like a toddler's toe. And the heel goes straight across to the other side. So it's almost like it was walking right behind Ma. Now, I'm not sure if this was a Ma or not. My suspicion is, it seems to me that's narrower tracks. Yeah. There you go. So in that picture there too, you can see those dots that I was talking about, the pores on the heel.
So my apologies. You sent them, but I overlooked them because they were in a different part of my email. I'm sorry.
Sorry, buddy. But again, when you look at that, you can see the heel up in the left-hand corner of the actual big, larger track heel.
Yeah.
And so it's cut right in there, and it goes straight across, and you can kind of see how you follow the lower heel mark on the right or left side if you're viewing it online, you guys, and just follow it down. You'll see how those toes, I mean, those are nice circular toes there.
Yeah.
See that bigger toe there with a bit of a line in there. So yeah, anyway, so I just thought that was kind of interesting to look at. And again, that's kind of what you're doing. Now, am I 100% sure about this? No, but it sure is interesting looking. And if I would have to find a few more tracks, that would be my next move on this one.
Wow, that's freaking sick. I love this. Because I looked at that, but I thought it was just some strange anomaly that just didn't make any sense.
Well, I did put
there. You put the dot there to look at it.
Yeah, joking on all that. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, you know, I've known Thomas for a few years, Seawood for a few years, and I know certain people have problems with him. I understand Thomas; he's a bush guy, so I don't have any problems with him. But that track's one of the most unique ones I've ever come across. It's similar to almost like John Bindernagel talking about one of the tracks he has that he showed me that he casted. Somebody else, a human, actually put his footprint right on the track and didn't recognize the track. It just walked on the track. So he's got the casting of the Sasquatch with the human footprint just with runners in the track, inside of the track mark. So, and that's what I mean is you're subconsciously not wired to look for something that big. So you don't recognize it because your brain doesn't have a context for a foot that big, unless all of a sudden it's that type of obvious of a track that you saw in that picture there. So
sometimes people just skim over things too. Yeah, you know what, Leon, I gotta say, this has been a really fun show, and it's not over by any means, but you have met the treacherous part of the show we call the Rapids, and Jake is going to be reading you some serious questions here, and you have to answer them as quick as possible, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay, all right. I hope they're not like quiz questions about things, because
Leon, but I got L-Dog. Just let us do the questions, okay, bud?
Where's my therapy cat?
Oh man, I'm trying to every time it seems like I'm doing things on the fly. right before this part of the show, we have these questions. Adam, I was going to talk to you about replacing the first question.
No, let's
with a
just go with
different
what you
question.
put down. I got
Give it to me.
the stopwatch right here, guys. I got the stopwatch.
Oh,
So,
yeah. 30
Jake, are
seconds.
you
So
ready?
this is kind of the free association part of the test. It's
Right.
not a roll tech thing, but don't get hung up on the questions and don't try to read too far into them. We're just gonna.
Do I say
just gonna-
pass? Do I say
Hey.
pass? If I don't think I got it, do I say pass or you go to the next question?
Just make something.
Yeah, and I'll come back to it, just like the Family Feud. If you want to say pass, I'll come back to it.
God,
But,
you guys are terrifying me. Run away! I'm gonna run away now.
100 people surveyed, top 10 answers on the board.
Oh no, I'm gonna fail this. All right, let's go for it. See what you
Jake,
got.
are you ready?
Are you ready, Adam? Should we go for it?
Jake, are you ready?
Oh man, I've been so nervous all day, but I think it's leading up to this point, Adam. I think I'm ready.
Mr. Thompson, are you ready? I'm going to say ready, set, go. And when I do that, I'm hitting the clock.
Okay.
Here we
All
go.
right.
Entering the rapids now, Mr. Leon Thompson from Bigfoot, Okanagan. Ready, set, go.
Duran Duran or Midnight Oil?
Both.
Did you solve the structural acronym puzzle?
No.
What's your favorite book?
John Bender and Oggles. This one right here, The Discovery of Sasquatch.
Nice. Name something to your left.
A beer.
Do you think we'll find Bigfoot? Do you think we'll find Bigfoot?
The odds are high.
Do you believe in shapeshifters?
No.
Do you love creamed corn?
I prefer. Yes, I do love it though. Yes.
Are you an essential worker?
Yes.
How many Bigfoot conferences have you seen?
How many Bigfoot conferences have I seen?
Yeah.
None. Oh, I've seen them online. I've never been to one. Is that what you're wondering?
Is Woo Squatch copying out?
Is Woo Squatch copy?
Is Woo Squatch copping out? Sorry, both of those are
Oh,
intentional.
I got you. Well, the weird thing about the word woo, the actual clinical term definition for the woo is when you can't believe in the facts, it's called the woo.
So yes or no?
So the answer to that is a cop out to me.
Boom.
If I understood the question,
1 minute.
We're gonna have to go back and look at this time, Adam.
0.2 of a second. We have a new record for the longest time it's taken to get through the rapids, Jake. And I think, Jake, that this was my favorite out of all of the rapid sessions that we've had on Mountain Stream. This had to be my favorite session. I'm not kidding you one single bit, man.
This is number one. This has to be the gold standard. So now we're gonna have to reverse the flip, and it's the longest time that you go to rapid.
You can cheat on that. You can cheat on that. We don't want that.
are you supposed to be quick or what?
No, you're supposed to just do what you're supposed to do. That's all.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm scared of what we're going to do with the data now, gentlemen. Oh, notice my left ear is closer. If you guys are watching, people,
I wasn't going to say anything.
That means something, and compared to your right ear, by the way. And
Yeah,
so
I wasn't going to say anything. I thought, his left ear bugged me.
I'm engaged in what you guys are doing, and so are you.
That's
and
good.
this means that you're a thinker and reflector. So those are all positive comments, by the way.
Wow,
Really?
very good.
When I have someone give you the right ear, they already figured in their brain what they're going to say to you, and they're not listening. Left ear is we're all joining in the conversation. Right ear, we're all listening, but I'm going to take over this conversation.
I love this. This is the best part of the show so far, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I had fun with
this
the
one, just, I
watching.
want to see what you're saying. I want to hear what you're talking about. Lots of different things you look for.
Wow.
That's important. That's another part of that frontline training is learn yourself, teach yourself about body language so you can view videos of people when they're sharing their testimonies to find out if they own it or not. Not whether they're lying, but whether or not it actually happened the way they're saying it. Because you can't hide from your emotions. It's the primal part of your brain. It shows up
now,
on your face.
Natural.
So someone without body language knowledge, do you think, I mean, you know, how you can naturally get a sense of someone, or, you know, not to discredit those, Adam and I, we subscribe to the couple body language ghost video, you know, it's so interesting to learn how to break down people, you know, because they give stuff away, like you're saying, you know, those people who can, you know, look at your eyes and hold your pulse and tell you where you left a set of keys 2 days ago in the middle of Vienna. You know what I mean?
That's that's Kreskin there, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there are ways that people don't know about that, you know, the average Joe Schmo.
Well, no, and that's what, and again, you're not in control as much as you think you are in your life. And that's what the general public, well, I mean, we think about what I just said. If I'm not in control, well, who the hell is? Well, you better be aware life's pretty complicated. So you have to, you know, any kind of research about anything, including your own personal life, you better shore up yourself because it's pretty tough out here. It's not easy. Life is not about easy. It is about suffering. It's not about suffering. It's a lot of crazy stuff, man. It's happened to me, and I know a lot of crazy stuff has happened to my clients. So, yeah, for sure. And what
so
you
does compartmentalizing have anything to do with it? Or are we talking about you know, PTSD issues, or
I would love to interview people that struggle, that have sightings, that have post-traumatic stress disorder in regards to the sighting. And, you know, there's different ways to handle post-traumatic stress disorder. And I think when I was getting interviewed, somebody had asked me, I think it was Andy Gone Fishing. I think, I'm not sure if it was you, Andy. So, so the idea is, he was talking about, you know, he used hypnotherapy and it worked for him. If it works, great. Because I had commented, I said, that wouldn't be the one I would go with because I don't go with that one myself. But I can see how it does assist people. I have a different technique that I use that's a little more, it helps you kind of come back to yourself when you've got a governing scene due to trauma that's now enmeshed and entangled, fused because of the confusion of the event. So you get fused to the event, and that's your neurological system, your biological and physiological system, and 3 brains that have recorded the whole event. And then it's pretty taxing on a person. So
it flips everything upside down, you know, it flips your whole paradigm upside down, I think.
Well, yeah, well, for sure. You know, and you're right. I mean, it's pretty complicated, and it would be interesting to just hear. One of the first questions I would have to ask somebody, though, is, have you ever had an original trauma experience? Or I would say to them something along the lines, have you ever felt this experience in your past history? Because your brain always goes back to a reference folder, always. Because your brain is empty, then it gets blocks of data, and those blocks of the data is what floods your system. Hang on, that does that. Anyways, I don't want to get too deep. I got a deep week coming yet. So
talking about deep, let's get to something that's not too deep. We'll scratch the surface, and we'll have some fun with it. Systems, YouTube, people like, you know, me and Jake. You know, we're part of. Maybe you probably didn't research much about what me and Jake do or anything, but there's all these and. You know, me and Jake do our thing, and we only do it for one reason, and that one reason alone. There's many reasons, of course, Leon, but the main reason is to be connected with one another and have something that we need to. Oh, we got a show coming up this week. That means that me and Jake have to connect, and if we don't connect and do this thing, then, you know, it's not going to happen. So one of the reasons why we do it, we want to find out answers, but more than that, we created the whole Bigfoot, Blue Line Bigfoot, all this stuff just for an avenue to hang out and be creative and enrich our lives with something that we can, you know, have fun and hang out and get a good laugh. And you have to hang out because we have to go do this. Oh, we got to do it. It's part of what we got to do. So let's talk about some other systems on YouTube and some goods. I want to hear some positive. I want to hear some negative. I want to bounce some things back and forth.
The ideas for sure. Yeah.
So what do you got?
What do you want? What? Well, anything specific or what?
No, I just want to hear what's fresh on your mind.
What's fresh on my mind is, for me personally, is do I stay online or do I pull right off a line and go to a total different way of getting the right people around me so I can see a Sasquatch again? Using academics. Find other people that are interested in that and give them the access to the academics so we can get them, find them. I don't want to say get them because I'm not able to get them. I want to see one again so other people can see one again. Other people have their own reasons. Go ahead, Jake. You look like you're going to have either a hemorrhoidal flare.
I'm sorry. I'm about to explode. I'm trying not to raise my voice. I have a problem with having an inside voice, but I mean, it's kind of like it's got to be a code, right? It's got to be some kind of code. What is it that we're missing? Are they all artists? Are they affected by? I mean, I don't know. Do you tie your shoes left first, or what is the reason? It's not just because you march to the beat of a different drum. It's not just because, in my opinion, your blood type is a certain, and why are some people call these extended experiencers? Why are these people? Some people who claim to have generational sort of Sasquatch. I mean, like, what is the, that's what, I mean, there's got to be a code. There's got to be something that, are they feeding off a certain frequency or energy? Or like, is Sasquatch a grief freak? Or is he some kind of negative energy sucking demon from another dimension? Or is he only here to help you and plant little flowers in the end of your guns? And you know what I mean? Like, is he hugging trees?
I don't know if the Sasquatch is any of those things. I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea whether they're any of those things. All I know is that it's more likely they're probably none of those things.
Oh, really? Oh, thank goodness.
I think the reason why we're having a problem, maybe online, is because the origins of how the Bigfoot's kind of grew over the last 50 years, and then with the internet, it's turned into a culture. And I think the drawback about when things turn into a culture is the culture becomes more important than what we're actually here to do, which is to see a Sasquatch. So somebody asked me once, well, if you came across a body, would you, or if I filmed one, I have reservations about whether or not I even show it online. I don't really owe anybody online to have to show them. I would show certain people probably online, but I don't think, what do I know? I'm still at the beginning of this whole process. And I think the problem is that as soon as the system turns into a culture, that culture gets into tribalism. Tribalism is independent thinkers about different things, but then it turns into this troopism. And that's kind of what's happened with this whole MK massacre kind of thing. But I don't even know why we're having really this discussion about this whole thing, because it's been vetted 10 years ago. It's pretty plain to me. I don't buy for myself personally that I agree with MK's narrative at all. I believe he believes it to be true, but to me, there's too many holes in there. To me, there's way too many holes in there. I mean, the whole idea about them putting a baby Sasquatch on a sandbar so they can go and kill all these other ones. I'm kind of thinking to myself, I don't know. I've been in the bush. The last thing you do is touch any animal's baby. Because they will come at you and kill you at the cost of their own life if they have to, because it's their offspring.
Rule number one. Don't make any sense. So don't get between
800 pounds, 8 foot tall Sasquatch adults hanging around, and one of them took a baby. Somebody took a baby to put on a sandbar. The narrative is, there's just too much stuff there. I mean, there's just other stuff too. And to me, it's kind of like arguing over the sky being blue with somebody. There's no use arguing with somebody. If they believe in something, they believe in something. I don't believe the narrative is regards to as being fact, though. I believe he believes his narrative to be true because that's how his research has gone. But that's the one side of it. But I also understand that I'm vulnerable in that area as well. I mean, if I came across some really good stuff, it's hard not to buy into that stuff. But I have to still vet it. I have to be my devil's advocate. I have to be the critical one. I need to be the skeptic on site. I want to prove to myself that it's not that. So when I leave, you know, it's like when you see a Sasquatch, you're not too sure if you see a Sasquatch and you try to convince yourself of not seeing it. It's the same way with good data collecting in the reverse. I'm going to prove it's not that. And the stuff that's left over that keeps itching my brain skull, it says, yeah, but there's something about that I don't have an answer for. You know, I think that's kind of what I hope we can up our game. I think the bonus about what you guys do and Bigfoot Odyssey and other groups, and now, no, you guys aren't perfect or anything like that, but at least you're trying a different way. And that's what has to be done, because the systems become a culture. And this old flow, you know, it's from family systems or any kind of system, they get into this traditional rut of what's been out there. And I think what the problem is in the Bigfoot community is the system, not the people. The cultural system that's now developed is actually not providing enough data that helps people find what we're looking for, which is a Sasquatch. It's kind of like we're into the, what is it? We're more into the,
honey boo boo. We're corrupted by the system.
So, you know, I'm not here to be the guy. I'm here to be Leon looking for a Sasquatch. I'm very systematic in what I do, and I have to be systematic when I deal with people in their minds, because I'm dealing. They're trusted. It's an honor for them to trust me with the terrors that they have in their lives, and to help them go through it and negotiate through that. That's a hell of a responsibility for somebody. And so I come out of that and come into this as a refresher for my brain and my system. And I'm going to play like you guys do, unique stuff, all that kind of stuff. And 5 years later, I find out that, holy smokes, what have I got myself into here? You know, one of the reasons why I wanted to hang out with you guys is you remind me of my buddies over in Alberta a couple of weeks ago when they said, let's cam. You know, they're all biker crazed out, hippie, hillbilly boys. You know, they do a hardcore electric air guitar, hillbilly music breakdown for me. I mean, I want some humanity in this thing, not this arrogancy that seems to be out there of people feeling offended. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. The good thing is I've been wrong lots of times. I've been a complete idiot lots of times. I've been a moron lots of times. But I get it. I have been those things. All these people who are worried about looking like that, we've all looked like that. We all lived through it. Like, come on, loosen up. All right, there's my beef on that one. Did you have something else there for me, gentlemen?
I just wanted to let everybody out in the chat know that if they have any questions for Leon, put them up there in caps, and maybe we'll get some answers here. Anybody?
It sounds like Leon's friends are cut from the same cloth as us, Adam. You know, to borrow something from Yates, right? Didn't he talk about the clause? Anyway, listen, gals and guys, you guys, what do you think about the you know, the Hollywood influence? I mean, because we're all kind of programmed with these, you know, us being kind of the same age. But, you know, how is that affecting how we're looking at this thing? Because really, I mean, people are, they got a different spin. I'll leave it there. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
On the TV shows and stuff, are you kind of say that stuff, Jake? Or like
Hollywood's, okay, so let me, Hollywood's influence about the Bigfoot subject. Is it a distraction?
I don't know. I was warned when I'm teaching my courses and stuff. I said there's certain statements you always hear on TV documentaries and channels that are produced in Hollywood. Movie stuff, that's entertainment stuff. And that is when you hear phrases that is like, is it possible? You know, especially like if you watch shows like Ancient Astronaut Theory or a black star found 1,600 feet under the earth. See how that opens your brain into making you curious if you hear it in your auditorial system. So is it possible is what's called an open-ended phrase, and psychology or illusionists, like if I want to get into somebody's head, I have to open their brain up for me to make the suggestion to them.
Yeah.
And in that suggestion that's one phrase, is it possible? Well, of course it could be possible, but is it factual? That's the total difference. The narrative that I'm saying, is it possible, that I'm now going to share with you, is going to build the development of these little mental data blocks in your head. So your brain already think they're taking you on a ride, is what they're taking you on. And when you see illusionists, if you guys ever check out Darren Brown, and if you ever catch him, English, brilliant illusionist, check out his show, especially the one called, I think it's called The Push. That is a great one at home to train yourself about how vulnerable the human condition is. Hour and a half, and they get these people to push normal Joe Blow people to push other people off the top of a building. And it shows the whole thing and how they do it. And it's very sophisticated. It's done with hundreds and hundreds of extras and stuff like that to convince people to do stuff they would normally not do. But if you set it up just the right way, you get nailed with it. And Thomas Steenberg, I was talking to him, and when what was it, Bigfoot, what's the show that on TV? Hunting for Bigfoot, I think it was.
Finding Bigfoot.
It's the one with Bobo and those guys.
Finding Bigfoot.
Finding Bigfoot. Yeah, they were up here, up in Harrison Lake here, and Thomas was up there with them, and he was saying on one of the episodes it shows Bobo, and I can't remember if it's Matt or not, but they're on this lake, and they're saying, "Oh, they're on this particular lake," and no, I don't grow tomatoes. I eat meat.
Oh, do you have a green thumb though? Do you have a green thumb, a brown thumb? Like, I try, but a lot of, I do the death march when Katie brings in new plants to the homestead, because it's like, dun, 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 dun. I would really like to take care of you, but I'm trying.
Yeah. We had a question a while back from KJS Insano wondering how to get to your channel, Leon. And if you could give me that information, I'll post it right up here.
It's easy. Just go on YouTube and you can punch in Bigfoot Okanagan. Okanagan is Okanagan. No O's except for the first one. Okanagan. 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 There you go.
All right there.
Yeah, there's another Okanagan that's in Washington, which is the state just below British Columbia, but it's spelled a little differently. That's it right there. Yeah.
So go to Bigfoot. Anybody watching, go to Bigfoot Okanagan on YouTube and check out some of Leon's work. Really fun stuff. You've been on with the likes of Bigfoot Odyssey and Bigfoot Tony. And so talk to us a little bit about that. I mean, with Bigfoot Tony, I mean, what he does mainly is doesn't he do like a lot of the same stuff that MK Davis does, like debunking footage and looking at footage, and isn't that kind of like the same kind of thing?
Yeah. The difference in the narrative is you'll notice Tony says, "I'm not sure. What do you guys think about that?"
Gotcha.
Whereas the other is
that's what it is.
This is the way it is.
Okay. That being said,
Go ahead.
We want to talk quickly. We don't want to drag this out for another hour, but we know there's been a lot of backlash with some stuff that MK Davis did recently, with something to do with the Patterson Gimlin footage. And Jake and I don't know if Jake's done his research on it yet. I have not. And I didn't do it intentionally because I kind of wanted to hear from you kind of what was going on and hear it from your perspective before I could actually put my spin on it mentally. So kind of in a nutshell, what the hell's going on out there?
Well, you went to the bathroom. We actually talked about this already.
I didn't go to the bathroom. I went somewhere else. I went to the store. I had to get more beer.
We're allowed to go to the bathroom?
My spin on it is, listen, if it was anybody else, we're here to data collect. And the idea is, look, check out the data, vet the information, use skeptical thinking so you can understand whether or not you would accept anybody's proposition. I don't care if it's MK's or if it's even my definition. If it's my hypothesis and you don't agree with it, if you don't agree with it, then you don't agree with it. I don't agree with the narrative that MK is saying online about his data collecting. I don't buy it at all. There's too many holes in it. And so, but that's what people do. That's why we vet the information. This is why it sucks, because it caused conflict. But the thing is about this has been vetted before. I'm a video I'm working on. If you guys check out my channel, you'll see I just did a video on this, and I actually used that video to set up the Bigfoot online community so I can get some data from them. I wanted to find out a variety of different ways of how people think and what their capacity is. And this is one reason why I talked about having a bit of a problem with these so-called critical thinking sites. Instead of sitting there and saying, well, that's stupid, that's all wrong, we've vetted this a long time ago, which is the atmosphere attitude of the vocabulary coming back to people who don't know the data they know. That's not fair to those people. They need to be trained, educated. How is it that you know? Because it's not about the end of the story. It's about getting to the story. That's where you learn your insides out in regards to good data collecting for yourself if you're going to be researching online. Like I was saying, there's just too many holes in his concepts and his ideas that just doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't matter whether it makes sense to me, because you could sit there watching and say, well, it makes sense to me, Leon. Well, that's great. But it's not about me making sense. It's like me being sincere about my position. I can be sincerely wrong, unfortunately. So I have to look at the data. So what do? If you're really interested in knowing about this, take the bloody narrative, send it to body language experts. So when I'm reading their body language, I know that MK's not lying, but I know he believes the narrative he's saying. So there's something else maybe going on there. It's not just about lying. Some people don't lie necessarily. There's other reasons they're doing that behavior that outside people would view as lying. I'm not saying it's a good behavior either. So that's not my job. And it's a waste of my time to spend looking at these guys. But I've had a lot of people, unfortunately, ask me about the whole thing. So I thought I'm going to use it as a different opportunity to take the camera lens and get it wider so you guys see the system, so you see what the problems are of the system. Not because we're bad. We're missing something.
Brilliant.
But it has to be systematically done so that you have the foundation of getting what we're trying to say, which is, if we can't see this and we're arguing about this, that tells us we have to up our game in regards to educating everybody online. And some people who are online that have channels, we have to challenge them a bit. And if they don't want to bend the knee, they're not the type of people I'm looking for. I'll bend my knee if I'm wrong. I want to be wrong, because then I will learn to be right.
I know that you've, in your, your Sasquatch quest, whatever you want to call it, you don't have a lot of subscribers, but
correct.
You probably could very easily have a multitude of subscribers. Yes. Do you think that having more fish to cast your net to, and maybe get more out there, do you think that there would be a better chance for you to get what you need as a researcher, or do you think it's better just to let them come to you?
No, yeah, because I'm not online to be on the Bigfoot community online scene. That's not why I'm online. I'm online finding the right people. So instead of throwing a big net out, which I unfortunately had to do because I was also researching what happens to somebody who comes into believing, what happens to someone who comes into the Bigfoot community online. That's part of my research as a systems theorist.
Systems research, Systems
theory. So what happens to somebody when they go into a church? What happens to somebody when they join the army? What happens to somebody who joins the Bigfoot community online? So what did I find by doing that? Well, I found there was enough validity in some cases, and unfortunately a lot of cases, regarding factual evidence for somebody like me who wants to come in as a trusting regulator, like most people sitting at home on their laptop watching us right now, because we want to find it. Now that's one of those problems that open our possibility of getting narrations online of stuff that's claimed to be, this is what it's Sasquatch, but you're not showing me why it's Sasquatch. You're saying it's Sasquatch, but why specifically is it Sasquatch? Why specifically do you hate yourself where you want to put a bullet in your head? I would have to say to a client. Specifically, why would you want to do that? You have to just look, and I take this serious.
I know you do.
And I'm not here to, I guess sometimes, here comes the Sasquatch police. I'm Leon in British Columbia in the Okanagan. I have great guys, and we vet our area and our data out. We go in, I got guys that are going to the same area 4 weekends in a row, piss and rain last weekend, snow the weekend before, because a hunter has got gun shy about going into an area he's been for 15 years. That's why we're here. We're here to give context and support and stuff like that. Will I shit my pants if I see one again? It depends on the look it gives me. If it looks at me like a grizzly looks at me when I'm going to be on a plate, I'm going to shit my pants. If its back is towards me and I get to sneak up on it, I'll have a bit more courage. But again, as soon as it turns and looks at me, whatever it looks at me with, like I think I mentioned, David Crockett could stare down a bear. I can't scare. I've been stared down by bears, and it went to the back of my skull. It was like, run away, run away. But the idea about being trained, not just in those other areas we're talking about, is internally. You have to know what the hell your system's doing, because if your brain's already hijacking, especially your primal brain, it's working in 0.08 seconds. I did a mistake with Danielle's interview. I said 8 seconds. It's actually 0.08 seconds. Your fight, flight, freeze, or faint is already in process. You're at the front of the helm going, what the hell's going on here? It's like all of a sudden a whole bunch of horses grab the back of your trailer, your wagon, and they're shoving you forward, and you're moving forward. You don't even know why you're running yet, and also, because that's the part that houses your protection, your physiological protection.
What is the sister to pareidolia? It's the being the K or something like that.
Yeah, you had to ask me that one, didn't you?
And that's where like maybe you have some like auditory things or some feelings that happen that you can't explain, and your brain kind of like makes up reasons why they're there.
That's right.
I mean, I've had this stuff happen to me, and I have it happen to me on a regular basis, and it's like listening to what you're saying as maybe more educated than myself. It does maybe hold some water in some cases, but other times it's like, okay, what is that? What is that really? Okay, why is it there? Why am I seeing or hearing or feeling the way I'm feeling?
Well, and again, because your brain is a data system. It's like a program in the laptop that you have, okay? It's collected a lot of data, and 95% of that data is subconscious, that is in that programming system of this brain here. 95% of the data that you draw from on your everyday to make decisions is subconsciously you absorbed it from the environment, from the culture, from the expectations, from your family members, from books you read. Subconsciously, you pick up a sensory perception about yourself. So that's one part of it. Another part of your brain, what it does is if I choose to believe in any topic, as soon as with intent, I feel that I'm feeling truth about that topic, another part of your brain kicks in. You're not thinking about it. Your brain's programmed to do this for you. And it starts looking for resources to validate why you should believe that topic. And that can set us up pretty readily available. If you go, and then there's another part of the brain that's always trying to, like, when you're talking about pareidolia, pareidolia is the primal part of your brain that is used to looking for patterns and specific facial patterns, so that when you're in the forest, you see things, or to look in the clouds and go, oh, there's a bear. That's your brain's actually producing that picture. Another part of your brain is filling in the blanks for everything that you guys at home are seeing right behind me. Because you only have, that is 20/20 vision, the width of your thumb extended in front of you. Your brain has already scanned the room at such a speed, quantum speed, it's actually taken in the visual data of the environment, and that is what you're actually seeing.
So what you're saying is it's not the weed then?
Well, it could be the weed. It really depends if it's spotting on the street. But in Canada, since it's legal, we just do it. You just go buy it here, right? So, I think you guys did one show there where you guys went and changed a few of your stuff around.
More than one. A couple. We did that a couple times, yeah.
And so you're waiting for people to catch it. And it's like, how obvious can I be? I started off with little things behind me and switched them around, little tiny things first. And then I thought, No, let's do the big one. No one knows that. Change my clothes.
That's all.
Got it. And that's important data to realize. It's not that because what I'm trying to do is help people see how you're missing a lot of data information, which means you're vulnerable to outside narrative data about information coming into your system because you don't have an answer yet. Or, walking into an area last year, actually where this sighting was, they must be connected. No, they're not connected. But I was walking into the area and it was just so funny. It was like mind speak. Literally, I heard in my head say, don't go in there. Don't go that way. Don't go that way. And my body's following suit. I'm getting these feelings of nervousness and all this kind of stuff that's going in there. But again, because I deal with internal dynamics of the human condition, I've practiced and polished them a bit more. I know when I'm being spooked. I know when that's happening. I know why that's happening. It's funny in other kind of iffy topics, or unproven topics online. There are a lot of the stuff they're experiencing. They're using the same narrative. They just got a different word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
lots of times I have mind speak happening, and it's just me going, Adam, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Adam, get your shit together.
Yeah. You know how you get your inner voice? Are you aware of how you get your inner voice?
I don't.
Yeah, that's one way you can get your inner voice, Jake. When you're growing up and a little kid, you ever notice a little kid play? They always narrate what they're playing. And you're going to go over here with the cars, and the trucks, the tanks are coming over. Well, that is external because the little kids don't have an internal voice. And then later on, that becomes what's called your internal voice that you hear in your head. It's not you. It's not you. It's not your conscious availability. That's a different thing. But you have a conscious awareness that you hear your inner voice. That's metacognition. To hear your thinking as you hear it. But it's not you. So anyways, we're coming up on almost 2 full hours. Okay.
We could go on and on, and I think we should, but not right now. I think we should probably.
What's that? Huh?
This is an idea I just had, and Jake, I'm not doing it at all without your permission or without your 100% satisfaction. I'm thinking like we have a lot.
I just have this one burning question.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
He froze up. Oh, he's freezing up.
So my question.
Oh no.
Okay,
no,
Jake,
go ahead. You finish your phone.
Go ahead.
You guys are hilarious, man.
Jake, go ahead.
Huh?
He's totally froze.
He's freezing.
All right.
Now.
All right. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be serious.
With anticipation.
Am I froze?
You're freezing in and out. Why don't you go out? Why don't you come out and then come back into the chat?
Okay. So Leon, what?
Jake, if you could just quit yourself and then come back in, I bet that'll take care of it.
Bye.
That's what Daniela and Carrie do.
Yeah.
This has been a great time chatting with you. Jake will be back here in a moment. I just wanted to say, thanks for coming on. Thanks for trusting that we're going to be like worth your time because none of us are doing this getting paid for anything, and it's just fun. It's a fun time, and a lot of the stuff that you have on your channel is so far different than everybody else's. It's not Christopher Noel stuff. It's Leon stuff. And it's super cool and it's super fun and it's super entertaining. And if you have some kind of, you want to think about stuff, watch your channel. And I know you already said, you don't need a lot of people on your channel and all that, but I'm just saying, if anybody else is watching this, go to Leon's channel, Bigfoot Okanagan.
Yeah, that was scary. That's scary. Okanagan.
Go to Bigfoot Okanagan and check out like what I did. You have a couple. I think you have a couple different playlists there, and that really helps. You put it on a playlist and just let it rock. Go right through. Jake, what are you doing? You back?
He's got a smiley face there. No, he's gone again.
Am I back?
I can hear you.
Jeez Louise. I would like to. Oh, you can hear me now?
Can hear you, but you're still frozen.
All right, listen. I know this is kind of, it's out of nowhere, but listen. I'm froze.
Looks like you're still frozen.
Oh, man.
We can
I'm
hear
sorry,
you
you guys.
We can
Let's
hear
get
you.
out of here.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Well,
We can hear you.
Let
Let us know the question.
What would you give? What?
Can you make him out, Adam?
Would you give someone who's been driven off their property because of a Sasquatch sighting? Let's say, for example, someone who loves to explore her property on a four-wheeler, blah blah blah. She sees a Sam Squanch and she won't go out of her backyard, and her 40 acres are pretty much done for her. What about that?
Okay, you're going to have to tell me it again because it was pretty choppy on my end here. So what I heard you say, Jake, was something about would you something on somebody's property that they had a property about 40 acres and they had a Sasquatch, and that's about all I heard. I couldn't make out the rest of it. So did you catch more, Adam? Could you?
Well, being that this is one of the places that me and Jake went to interview a lady who has a direct sighting, I'm guessing that what Jake said was, what do you have for advice for somebody who has a piece of property that they've had a Sasquatch encounter, and now they don't like to, enjoy their property anymore because they're too afraid of the Bigfoot that are like right in their area? Do you have any advice for somebody like that? Is what I'm gathering. I'm not saying that's what Jake said, but that's what I'm gathering.
Well, I had a guy that family that had that kind of scenario on that, and I don't know. Like, you have to kind of find out from the owner first of all. Do they want to know any more information about this issue? If they don't want nothing involved with if they want to sell their property in that and they get it for a good deal and you can guarantee that they're on the property, buy the property. Especially if it's only 40 acres. Because we'll water around the whole perimeter of the thing and nothing will get in or out without us being seen. So I get envious of these people. Oh yeah, we're on 4 acres of land. They're here all the time. I thought.
Tone it down, bud. Tone it down. This isn't where we want to go with this one.
Okay. Well, again, I'm not sure what Jake's question is. So, Jake,
what do you want when somebody has a habituation? They want to go back on their land. What's some advice to them to get them back to enjoying their land when they know that there's a Bigfoot around?
Well, the biggest thing is you have to, if you're dealing with them specifically, you guys yourself, you have to just be calm about the situation. You have to really present that did they say there was any violence involved? Did they say? Okay.
No violence.
So the key part is you have to figure out what style of Squatch you might be dealing with too. Oh. If it doesn't have, like I was saying, I had a grizzly guy contact me once a couple of years ago about them having them on their property, and he was really quite concerned. He actually contacted me because I accidentally left Bigfoot Okanagan on my logo tag on a comment site that had to do with grizzly hunting, and then this message came in saying we need to talk to you, and so they reached out and they had a really awesome experience. It was scary, but his daughter came up and with her husband and their grandkids, to stay at their new property. And the grandparents already kind of were suspicious that there must be a Sasquatch. We think it's a Sasquatch on our property. Never talked to anybody about it, so they reached out to me. And they were worried that their grandkids were going to be in danger if these Squatches were here. So I did a history, and he said, yeah, they've been around here for a while, and they seem to leave us alone and stuff. And I said, well, what happened was their daughter and her new husband stayed in the guest house, And in that guest house, there was just rocks thrown, screaming and raging kind of sounds all around the whole thing for the whole night. And they came in the next day to their house, the grandparents said, "What the hell is going on your property?" And the grandparents both looked at each other and thought, "We don't know if we want to tell you, but we think it's a Sasquatch on site." And so I said to them, "So you've been on this property, familiar with it for years?" And they said, "Yes, for 50 years. And they've never caused any problems." And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, now listen to how I'm talking to them. I'm talking to them in a very calm, relaxed state," as Caesar Milan would say. And so I said, "Listen, it doesn't make sense to me because they know you because you grew up on this property, and they would know you from a kid. They would know your wife. They know your daughters, your kids. And they know your grandkids, but they've never met yet the husband of your daughter. So they're checking out to find out, is he part of this clan? Because whenever they're not there, they don't have any kind of ruckus kind of behavior. Like they have other stuff that's going on there. Like there's a couple of kill zone areas there that got everything in there from moose, bear, grizzly, bones, deer, everything, all in one area. Like it's a really bizarre area. But so when you're dealing with somebody like that, I mean, really, if you're there to help them and she's asking to help them, you have to help her. It's not about kind of convincing her to come in. Almost like your paramedics or you're the fire hall or fire department, or you have to come in first to find out is it a safe environment for them. If there's just one hanging around the property and it's just hanging around the property, there's nothing.
Probably not a bad thing at all. Just kind of like. Just there.
Yeah, I mean, I have a 500-pound black bear that hangs right outside here.
Well, that's really good news, Jake. That was a great question. He's froze up again, Leon. But
his side happened now by the looks of it.
It's just something we can bring to our friend, and maybe get her assured a little bit. Anyway, I wish Jake was here. I wish he was in good connectivity with us, but he's not. I'll put on this Mountain Stream logo here in the background. Maybe he'll come back on in a couple minutes. Well, Leon, I had a couple of things on the docket here that I wanted to talk about, but I don't want to stretch it too far. But since Jake is out, maybe this will give me a couple minutes to talk about him. Now, you claim that the Squatch, or whatever you want to call them, the hairy beasts up in the Okanagan territory are friendly. And how do you know this? First of all,
I didn't say friendly.
I'm sorry to put words in your mouth. I didn't mean that. Non-aggressive?
No, not aggressive. That's right. There's never been a report of aggression. Early 1900s, yes, but not here. So where I am right now, we have nice big bear here. They're non-aggressive. Non-aggressive. I could walk on the road. They're on the road. They're not going to do anything. I take you up north, up the Liard River area, northern BC. They are freaky, demonic. I will kill you and eat you alive. And we won't care about your garbage. So here, we don't have reports like that. Matter of fact, we actually have reports of them when they seem to be in duressful times in the season where there's the lack of food and stuff, that they actually seem to reach out to human habitated areas to somehow supplement their food systems. So that's been chronologized. No, that's not the right word either. Come on, Leon. Documented. That's the word. Yeah. That's it. A rabbit. Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like
home run.
So, yeah. So I mean, that's why I'm not. I mean, I could be delusional, but I mean, again, just up top of the hill, this mountain here, right over here. I mean, a year and a half ago, I ran into a grizzly with 2 cubs. So, yeah, I'm still going to be temperamental about the area. So. I mean, again, you're asking me in a way questions that I don't really know because I haven't seen them here in this area.
They're questions that I'm asking because I've heard you talk about it, and I don't know because me and Jake are from the completely other different area. Okay,
right?
And but we could probably say similar things to the creatures here because there's been no documented like hostile attacks from anything that anybody might say is a Sasquatch anywhere around here. Although me and Jake are pretty damn sure that they exist here.
How many reports do you have, Adam, roughly in your area that you guys know about?
That we know about. Me and Jake have upwards of 30 different accounts ourselves. They're documented to us. They're not on any database. But that's just what we have, and that's only in the surrounding area. This isn't like the Adirondack Park, 6.2 million acres. Okay, we're not.
We're in there easy.
we're only researching in a small portion of it.
Right.
I'd say like I don't know, 15 to 30 square mile radius. That's it. That's what we're doing because it's easy for us because we know they're here and we can just after work, we can get in the side by side and go research or, go talk to somebody kind of next to us. Just get in the car. Boom. They're right over there. Oh, we have a 15-minute drive to go talk to these people over here. That's fine. Instead of there's lots going on in the Adirondack Park. It's huge. There's a lot going on way up there. And we do have emails and suggestions for coming and doing research up there. But, that was part of what we were going to be doing with season 3. But since the COVID times now that we're in, we're just kind of landlocked, so to speak, at home, doing things like this. Normally me and Jake would be together here. He'd be right next to me and we'd be talking to you and we'd be hanging out together. But, things change and we're trying to make the most of it and just, trying to get as much information as possible and trying to make ways to have our channel have fun. Like with you, I mean, Leon, a lot of what you bring to the table is very serious, but in all of the serious talk that you have, you always have a little laugh at the end of almost every sentence you do, and that makes you think that you're a fun person. You enjoy life. You like to have fun. You think everything is. You like to enjoy the good things in life, and you like to. Laughter is like a big key for me. So when I'm listening to you talk about all the seriousness, but then laughing afterwards, I'm like, this guy wants to know what's going on, but he also isn't going to let it rule his life, and he wants to have fun. And
right. Well, the thing too
on the channel.
Another thing too, Adam, is, I mean, people don't know me from squat, right? So nobody knows that I've dropped dead 6 times.
5.
I fucking dropped dead 6 times.
5 times.
For you?
No, for you. That one time you didn't drop dead, you were almost dead. I remember.
Oh, right. You're correct. That is correct. And then like a couple of weeks ago, having that clot between my. What do you learn when you drop dead? You learn what's important, and what's important is you. So you better really do some deep thinking and reflection on yourself in regards to what is important for me. I don't want to, and this is totally true, by the way. When I first went to the hospital, I had blood clots like all over my system. This was in 2020, and in 2000. And what I came out of the hospital, and the first thing that came into my head was, I don't want to be a bitter old bastard sitting on my front porch yelling at kids going by on my yard. That's why I smile.
I love it, man.
Every day is a great day. And I had some people comment on that last video I did. Is he smiles too much? It's almost like he's unbelievable. Yeah, I'm pretty intimidating to most people, not because I'm a physical threat, because emotionally and psychologically, I'm a pretty solid person. I don't have millionaires, famous people come and see me because I'm an idiot. And when people say to me, I had somebody the other day say, well, what is it you do, Leon? I do me. That's what I do. I get paid to be Leon.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And for people like
out there, you get paid to be yourself. Yeah, because most people don't even know how to be themselves. They're doing the act of themselves. And you see that readily online here when you see a lot of different channels. A lot of people are acting because they're getting strokes in their feedback loop and I feel good and all that kind of stuff. Nothing wrong with that. But you have to make sure that you're sincerely honest and know that your audience is trusting what you're saying to be validly, factually true. because it's going to be quite deserting for their souls when they find out, some of the stuff I know and some of the people I know that have a lot of subscribers, some of the stuff they believe that they don't share online about Sasquatch. I keep saying, why don't you share that on your channel?
You get that. You get that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the reasons we reached out to you is because we felt like you were like a sincere, like kind of just genuine person. And when you got back to us and said, hey, I want to have some beers with you guys on your channel, that meant the world to me. I was like, now we're talking. Now we're getting somewhere. This guy actually understands what we're talking about. Yeah, me and Jake goof around. We joke around. We like to have fun. We don't take anything too seriously. That's what it is. We want to know the truth. We want to know answers. We seriously want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
We're not total idiots. We try to pretend like we are. But it's just been really fun having you on the show. I wish Jake could be here with us right now, but unfortunately something happened with this internet, obviously. We're gonna have to you get back on the show. Oh, what do we got? We got Jake. Something happened with this internet, obviously. We're gonna have you get back on the show. Oh, what do we got? We got Jake. Turn off your YouTube, Jake. Jake, turn off your YouTube. Turn off your YouTube, Jake.
Is that a dolphin?
No, it's an alien from underwater.
What the hell animal you got there? It's a Sasquatch.
That's the bat signal from underwater. That's the submarine. Adam West days.
Yeah, totally.
That's the penguin coming at you.
That's a Jake break right there.
Now you're back 100%. Now
it's good to have you back.
Your audio's perfect.
Jeez, you're awesome. You're amazing. I love you.
No, I'm a retard who can't power my phone. And when we started this thing, I'm sorry for the R word, but it was at 84%, and now we're like charged out, and I didn't know that I dropped down to 0%. And during those times, I just had to sit here and waiting for my phone to climb back up to 3%, where I could get back on the pewter webs. I'm back on 3%, but geez Louise, gals and guys, you guys.
Yeah, but you made it. That's the point.
Well,
were you were asking about? You're talking about that lady that you guys are dealing with, I guess. That property where she had a sighting.
Yeah, and how it totally cut off her access to her property, where before she was like all about her property. She moved up here from the city to get away, and had been enjoying that property for a long time, and then her dog alerted her, and then she had the sighting, and boom. And oh, guess what? It just so happens within 6 months of the same year, another person half a mile down the road also had a strange, like his trail camera was ripped off from a tree, and he didn't find it for a little while later, a few hundred yards down the road. Anyway, it was kind of two things that kind of overlap, kind of like a 411 map and missing person sightings, or kind of just a weird overlayment of sightings. And let's say, and I don't want to bring woo into it, but UFO sightings, I mean, it's kind of like Occam's razor after all of these. I mean, because just in our experience, we get a lot of people saying, hey, do you guys look into anything other than Bigfoot? And they tell us these weird UFO stories.
Yeah.
And they're like heart to heart kind of conversations in the middle of the grocery store parking lot. Like, you're stopped on the street, like someone's giving you their deal, so.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too how you get stuff like that. Somehow somebody will see you or something like that, and then the next thing you know, you're talking about the topic. It's like, how did we get to this? I'm buying milk.
Yeah.
You know, like, do you guys have any taxidermists in your area?
Yes, we do. Yes, we
Have you
do.
talked to those guys at all?
We haven't talked to him, but I work with her daughter or his daughter at a local ski resort. And fun fact, I've built her a stone dog cairn that her sits on this huge boulder that this guy, this taxidermist, her father, he keeps these big I don't know what kind of Holsteins or some kind of these bulls that he's like
Yep.
4 or 5 cows that he keeps every year. And yeah, so he's the guy. He's but we haven't talked to him yet. But we're close.
You gotta go talk to the taxidermist, boy.
Yeah,
because the hunters are gonna talk to the taxidermy. They're like the bartender. Who else are you gonna talk about? Hey, anyone else come in?
Yeah.
Or the loggers, the people out in the woods logging, like the ones hearing the tree knocks.
Yeah.
Like, you got to ask the locals, people with their finger on the pulse. It's like, who are the people out there experiencing that thing? Like, are you treating water for the Department of Environmental Conservation, trying to knock out black flies? You want to talk to those guys too.
Yeah.
Exploding monkey vomit.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to learn a way of approaching them where you're just non-intrusive in your questioning or anything like that. Yeah, and you draw information. So like when I talk about counseling is a lot like dating. It's not what they tell you in the first, second, third date. It's what they're not telling you that you need to know. It's like, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into? So the idea when you're talking to people and interviewing them, you have to talk to them, try to get somehow build a trust over to them. But when Justin talked about that from Mountain Beast Mysteries about him nailing or talking to that guy from that's the taxidermy who did that big 8-foot Sasquatch taxidermy of 8-foot Sasquatch, and I thought, how did I miss that? I should be talking definitely to the I was going to say veterinarians. Yeah, I'll go talk to the veterinarians about Sasquatch. Yeah, you come in here with covert yet? No, not yet. Oh, okay. All right, then. I'm in the wrong place. Taxidermies. That's it. Took me a while for my brain to retrieve the information back. Aisle 6, building 9. It's a back row. Oh, right. Okay.
On edge.
Leon.
Okay, so I have to go for sure in 7 minutes because I got to get ready.
I was just going to say there are many, many, many more questions that I have for you. I want to delve into some things deeper. You said you don't want to go too deep on a couple of these things, and those are the things that I kind of want to hit deeper on. And maybe we could meet up and do a different show than Mountain Stream. Maybe me and Jake could come up with the stream called like a going deep, and we'll have you on that show. Deep.
That'd be awesome. Be a great refreshment for me.
That'd be awesome.
So have you one last quick question for you, Leon. Have you had fun with us tonight?
The reason why I came onto your site after scoping and analyzing your channel was I thought these guys remind me of my friends in Alberta.
Yeah, scope.
We don't know each other yet, but I think the conversations we could have would be pretty decent conversations. Right. And again, what we were talking about earlier, you guys, about I would love to have a whole bunch of the main prime people that are online live and talk about really what we think about the online scene. So
I love it. A round table.
Get shifted on that because we're missing a whole part of what we're supposed to be doing at the cost of really good people. So.
Well, our channel is already set up for a platform like that because we don't really care. And if you wanted us to host it without having to damage anybody else's integrity or whatever else you want to call it, or safe for kids or whatever you want to do, I would love to be a part of that. It sounds like a really fun thing. It sounds like a good cleansing thing for a lot of people too. find out who the hell we really are and where we stand.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome. I love it. Love it. Good idea.
To some people, but I'm not on the Bigfoot online scene. That's not why I'm online. I mean, I use the platform of YouTube and share what I share, but it's not helping me find a watch. So, well, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate
you. Thank you so much for coming on, and keep it real, Leon. I know you will. Stay in good health.
Thanks.
I know you've had a lot of scares over the last several years. Stay healthy, stay good. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay in touch. You know our email address, and just keep doing your thing. And hopefully we'll line up again sometime.
Okay, sounds good, guys. Enjoy your weekend too. By the way, in sunshine, hopefully.
I think so. Yeah. I think that's what Al Roker said.
Well, thanks for sharing a beer. Maybe we'll have two if I didn't have clients after this.
I know.
Well,
next time. So
good talking with you.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Both you guys for sure. Keep going.